"He's doing it again," Sarah whispered to her cubicle mate, as they observed him standing there, lost in thought. Through the glass walls of the corner office, Sage Blackwood remained still, his gaze fixed on the Seattle skyline. The dark suit that had once fit him impeccably now draped loosely over his frame. 5 years of drifting through life had worn him down. Marcus Whitaker walked through the open office, feigning ignorance to the murmurs around him. Another board meeting in 10 minutes, another round of shielding his closest ally. He rapped on Sage's door, fully anticipating silence. True to form, none came. "Sage, we need to talk about the Q3 projections." Marcus set the report down on the desk. "We're losing people. Henderson's team has seen 4 resignations this month alone." Sage turned slightly, a movement so subtle it could have been mistaken for a shift in the shadows. "Handle it. That is the issue at hand. For 5 years I've been managing it all. The board is becoming increasingly uneasy. A new HR director is essential, someone capable of addressing the ongoing issues effectively." A subtle clenching of Sage's jaw was the sole sign that he had listened. "I've arranged interviews for the upcoming week," Marcus continued. "I require your presence." Indeed, he was there not merely in body. "Fine." The word emerged harshly, as if it hadn't been spoken in a while. Returning to his desk, Marcus accessed the candidate's files. A new email lit up his screen. Another resignation. Beneath it, a worried message from an investor regarding the company's trajectory. He cast his eyes over the photo resting on his desk. Sage, Claire, and he stood together at Quantum Flow's launch party 7 years prior. Claire's smile beamed from the frame, Sage's arm wrapped around her waist, both exuding a sense of promise. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Whitaker, the board is waiting." Marcus collected his papers, mentally preparing justifications for yet another quarter of stagnation. As he walked by Sage's office, he noticed his friend had resumed his watch at the window. As Marcus stood in the elevator, his phone buzzed with a vibration. A communication from an unfamiliar source. "HR Director role. I will be there tomorrow." Autumn Thorne. He reviewed her file once more. Professional in the field of organizational psychology. Renowned for transforming detrimental workplace environments. The communication violated established guidelines. Candidates were meant to navigate through HR, yet Quantum Flow ceased adhering to standard procedures the day Claire passed away. Marcus responded, "Tomorrow 9 a.m. The elevator doors slid open to reveal the boardroom. Through the glass, he observed the members already in place, their expressions somber. Behind him, 30 floors up, his closest companion remained suspended in a moment, as the enterprise they had forged began to disintegrate. A shift was necessary. Perhaps tomorrow would bring it. "Lost another one?" Marcus murmured, his eyes drifting over yet another resignation email. The morning sun stretched long shadows across his desk, emphasizing the increasing pile of exit interviews. He accessed Quantum Flow's employee dashboard. Their headcount had decreased by 15% over the past 6 months. The knock on his door came as no surprise. Linda from accounting held a folder tightly against her chest. "Here are the figures you requested," she said, setting them down on his desk. "It's worse than we imagined." Marcus turned the pages with a sense of dread. Revenue plummeting, costs rising, and innovation completely stalled. The company was barely holding on, relying on outdated contracts. Suddenly, his phone buzzed with a message from a board member. "Time's up. Make changes or we will." The warning was clear. He had been fending off aggressive takeover attempts for months, yet their patience was beginning to fray. A disturbance outside captured his focus. From his office window, he observed Sage navigating the developer pit, with employees dispersing like startled fish. 5 years ago, they would have gathered around him, enthusiastic to exchange thoughts. At this moment, they averted their gazes. "Mr. Whitaker?" His assistant peeked in. "Miss Thorne has arrived." It was early. Marcus glanced at his watch. 8:30 in the morning. The interview was scheduled for 9 o'clock. He discovered her in the lobby, engrossed in the company timeline showcased on the wall. She remained facing away as he drew near. "Fascinating void," she remarked, gesturing towards the empty area following 20 to 20. "All comes to a halt here." The year Claire Blackwood met her end. Marcus tensed. "How did you—" "Public records." She turned to meet his gaze at last. "You don't have an issue with people, Mr. Whitaker. What you have is a grief issue that has manifested as a problem with others. Our focus is on the HR position, not delving into the psyche of our CEO. Correct? It seems you're here to rescue both your company and your friend." She pointed towards the timeline. "And those two issues are intertwined." Before Marcus could reply, the elevator doors slid open. Sage emerged, making his way toward his familiar route through the lobby, yet something compelled him to stop. Autumn pivoted, locking eyes with him directly. For a brief instant, Sage's steps wavered. Then, just as quickly, the moment slipped away. He pressed on toward his office, the specter continuing its eerie presence. But Marcus had noticed it, the initial fissure in 5 years of flawless void. "When can you begin?" he inquired. "I already have." Autumn grabbed her bag. "Assign me a spot in your organizational structure." "And what about Mr. Whitaker? Is the board meeting scheduled for tomorrow?" "I must be present." "That doesn't follow the established guidelines. Neither is it worth watching your company crumble just to spare your friend's feelings." She made her way to the elevator. At times, one must dismantle to rebuild. Marcus observed her departure, contemplating whether he had just made the most pivotal choice of his existence, or the gravest error. "Your management style is quite unconventional, Miss Thorne." Board member Richard Chun leaned in, a frown creasing his brow as he scrutinized her presentation slides. "Are you proposing we require counseling for senior leadership?" Autumn asserted with poise at the head of the boardroom table. "Your best talent is departing because they're overwhelmed by unaddressed grief. It's no longer solely about Mr. Blackwood." Sage occupied the far end, appearing engrossed in his tablet, yet the tension in his grip revealed a different story. "Companies are like living beings," Autumn continued. "When the mind is unwell, the whole system suffers. A culture of silence has been established regarding emotional well-being. That comes to a close today. What else is there?" Richard issued a challenge. "Or I walk. And you can explain to your shareholders why Quantum Flow's value dropped another 30% this quarter." She advanced to the next slide. "These are your competitors' growth numbers, and these, click, are yours." A hush enveloped the room. Red arrows pointed downward across every metric. "Mr. Blackwood," Autumn's voice sliced through the tension. "Do you think that true innovation demands emotional involvement?" Palpable tension filled the room. Sage had remained silent in board meetings for years. When he finally spoke, his voice was gravelly. "Yes. Then allow me to do my job. Complete control over HR policies. Direct access to every department and a place at this table." She locked eyes with each board member. "You brought me on to resolve this. Allow me to take care of this." Marcus observed his friend, noticing a spark he hadn't witnessed in years. "Interest." Richard shuffled his papers. "We'll need to discuss." "Approved." Sage's words silenced the room. He stood there, the tablet slipping from his grasp. Full authority. With that, he strode out, leaving a profound silence behind him. Richard was the first to recover. "Well, Miss Thorne, it appears you've done the unthinkable. You've made him care." "No." Autumn collected her things. "I made him experience an emotion. Caring comes later. And, gentlemen, starting tomorrow, my office will be next to his." Marcus caught up with her at the elevator. "That was risky. Safer than doing nothing." She checked her phone. "Please have maintenance move me in tonight. And, Marcus, prepare yourself. Tomorrow is bound to be a challenge for all," she said with a faint smile as the elevator doors slid shut, leaving Marcus pondering the consequences of what he had set in motion at Quantum Flow. For the first time in 5 years, Sage Blackwood ascended the stairs, opened his laptop, and delved into the employee reports. "All hands meeting in 5 minutes," echoed the intercom, stirring a wave of uncertainty across Quantum Flow's offices. It had been a long time since anyone had summoned an all-hands since Claire's passing. Autumn stood at the auditorium podium, observing the employees as they entered. Their body language was a clear indication of disconnection. Developers kept their distance from management, HR members anxiously gathered in corners, and sales teams pretended to be engrossed in their phones. "Sit with someone you've never talked to," she declared, her voice cutting through the low chatter. "Now!" An awkward shuffle followed. A junior developer found himself seated next to a senior VP, while a maintenance worker ended up beside the head of marketing. Sage slipped in through the side door, taking a seat in the back. Marcus moved to join him, but Autumn's voice halted him. "Mr. Whitaker, please take a seat in the front row." The projector whirred to life, revealing a solitary message. "What are you afraid of? Turn to the person next to you," Autumn instructed. "Share with them your greatest fear regarding this company. Time is of the essence, you have just 1 minute." Commencing immediately, quietude, then tentative murmurs. The murmurs intensified, becoming increasingly insistent. "Time's up," she indicated towards the VP beside the developer. "Share what you heard." The VP shifted in his seat, clearly uneasy. He mentioned that he has 3 projects due this week and feels lost. He's worried about making the wrong decision. "Why is that?" Autumn insisted. "Because no one seems to be in control of his department anymore. Everyone's hesitant to make decisions." The developer fixed his gaze on his shoes. "This is the essence of ineffective leadership," Autumn remarked, her words slicing through the tension. "Fear shapes decisions, silence guides tactics, and skill departs." She advanced to the next slide, revealing an image from Quantum Flow's launch party. Claire's smile radiated from the core. Sage rose suddenly from the back. "Mr. Blackwood," Autumn called, her voice steady as she kept her gaze forward. "I ask you to remain. This is no longer about your sorrow. It concerns the impact that grief has had on 300 individuals who placed their faith in you regarding their careers." The atmosphere was thick with tension. Sage stood still, hand resting on the door. "Just a moment," Autumn murmured gently. "Allow them 1 minute with the leader they cherish." Sage's hand fell away from the door. He pivoted, confronting his team for the first time in years. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice resonating in the stillness. "I'll do better." Then he vanished, but the echoes of his words lingered, vibrating through the astonished crowd. Autumn advanced to her subsequent slide. Stage 1. Rising from slumber. In the front row, Marcus beamed for the first time in years. The tremors were just starting to unfold. "Mandatory counseling starts today," Autumn declared, placing a schedule on Sage's desk. "You're first." He kept his gaze fixed on the screen. "I'm occupied. You haven't scheduled anything in 5 years." She took a seat without an invitation. "The psychologist from the company is waiting." "I don't need." Quantum Flow stock fell another 2 points this morning. She set the market report beside the schedule. "It's up to you. Speak with Dr. Reynolds, or clarify to the board your reasons for rejecting fundamental leadership expectations." The silence lingered. At last, Sage rose to her feet. "1 session. Weekly sessions," she corrected. "And a daily check-in with me." Down the hall, Marcus observed Sage as she stepped into the newly designated counseling office. The device vibrated in his pocket. "A new challenge arises, calling for our focus. A significant client is considering leaving. Team members debating the project's trajectory. Middle managers battling for scarce resources. Let them fight, Autumn remarked, materializing next to him. Conflict signifies a moment of awakening or disintegration. At times, they appear quite similar. She passed him a folder. Your session is scheduled for tomorrow at 10. By afternoon, murmurs spread through the office like wildfire. The CEO had articulated his thoughts in full sentences. He had genuinely made eye contact with Dr. Reynolds during their meeting. Minor tremors, yet for a company established on fault lines, they resonated like earthquakes. Autumn discovered Sage in his office after hours, fixated on his computer screen. "Claire's old emails," he remarked before she had a chance to say anything. "I never archived them. Perhaps it's time." He shook his head. "Not yet." "Small steps," she concurred, pivoting to depart. "Why didn't they fire me?" His question halted her. 5 years of nothing. What was the reason for their delay? "Inquire with Marcus tomorrow," she said, a faint smile gracing her lips. "During your obligatory lunch meeting." Sage nearly returned the smile. Nearly. Progress, Autumn mused as she made her way to her office. Chaotic and arduous advancement. On her desk, 30 requests for voluntary counseling sessions sat in anticipation. The vibrations were expanding. "Share with me the last moment you encountered her," Dr. Reynolds inquired, his tone soft amidst the stillness of the late afternoon. Sage remained tense in the leather chair, gaze locked on the unceasing rain of Seattle. She was heading out for a client meeting. It was late afternoon, just like now. She had forgotten her umbrella. The memory struck him with surprising intensity. Claire dashed back into the office, laughter spilling from her lips, her hair glistening with rain. Her final kiss lingered, a blend of coffee and lipstick on his own. Her parting words, "See you tonight, love. I ought to have taken her for a drive." "The accident wasn't your fault, Sage." "No." His voice grew steely. "A reckless driver swerving through traffic at 70 miles per hour. That was his mistake. Allowing the company to fade away afterward. That's on me." A knock broke the moment. Autumn lingered in the doorway, clutching a well-known blue umbrella. "I discovered this in storage," she remarked. "I thought you should have it." The umbrella belonging to Claire, the one she had left behind that day. "How did you?" Marcus retained all items from her office. Autumn set the umbrella by the door. "He mentioned you might desire it eventually." Sage gazed at the umbrella. Its presence filled the room, as if it were suddenly inhabited by a multitude of unseen spirits. "Your assignment," Dr. Reynolds said softly, "is to apply it. Next time it rains." That evening, Marcus discovered Sage still in his office, the umbrella unfurled on his desk. "Do you recall when she purchased this?" Marcus inquired. The shade of blue complemented the company logo perfectly. She meticulously arranged everything by color. A faint smile graced Sage's lips. Even her coffee mugs were part of the scheme. "The morning team continues to rely on them." Marcus took a seat. They were reluctant to change. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Fresh rain pelted the windows as Sage picked up the umbrella. "I have a homework assignment," she said. Together, they made their way to the parking garage. Sage paused at the exit, uncertainty lingering in the air. "Care for some company?" Marcus inquired. "No," Sage replied, unfurling the umbrella. "I must face this on my own." He walked into the downpour. The blue fabric stood out vividly against the dull evening sky. After 5 long years, he finally sensed the burden of something other than sorrow. From her office window, Autumn observed his departure. The initial stage was proving successful. The specter was gradually regaining its humanity. Now for phase 2, rescuing his company before it was too late. The development team looked on in disbelief as Sage took a seat at their morning stand-up. "Walk me through the new security protocol," he said, his voice rough yet unmistakably clear. Jenny, the lead developer, was the first to recover. We've been encountering some problems with the encryption layer." As she displayed the code, other developers gradually assembled around her. For 20 minutes, they engaged in a discussion about technical challenges, potential solutions, risks, and other routine work matters. Then Sage's breathing shifted. Autumn, observing from the doorway, identified the indicators. Quickened breaths, knuckles turning pale, eyes drifting out of focus. "Mr. Blackwood," she called with a sharp tone. "You're 9 o'clock." He nearly dashed out of the room. She discovered him in the stairwell, hands pressed against the wall. "Panic attack." He nodded, gasping for breath. "Concentrate on what I have to say. Name 5 things you can see. Stairs, window, exit sign, your shoes, my hands. Now, for things you can touch." Slowly, his breathing became more even. The color came back to his face. "Claire was the one who used to lead those meetings," he said at last. "I understand, but today you also took the lead. Progress isn't always straightforward, Sage." In the development team space, Jenny was energizing her group. She posed inquiries. Genuine inquiries. "Did you notice how he identified that buffer overflow issue right away? Do you think he'll return?" Someone inquired. "He better," Jenny replied, her confidence unwavering, "as I'm quite certain he just greenlit our API upgrade." Marcus observed the surge of enthusiasm coursing through the office. Developers clustered around their keyboards, fueled by a revitalized sense of purpose. Project managers revived timelines that had been inactive for a long time. "Green shoots," Autumn remarked as she joined him. "Small, yet expanding. And the panic attacks are part of the healing process. However, we must accelerate our pace." She passed him a report. "The takeover vultures are circling. It appears we have roughly 2 months until they take action." Marcus examined the figures and muttered a curse under his breath. He's not prepared. He'd better prepare himself, because next week we're putting him back in front of clients. In his office, Sage was diligently getting ready for the stand-up meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Claire's previous project notes were displayed on his screen. Small steps, new beginnings. Yet, ominous signs loom on the horizon. "You can't keep arranging private dinners with him," Marcus challenged Autumn in her office. "There's always chatter. It's just what people do." She kept going through the personnel files. "The dinners are making an impact. He is actively participating in the recovery program. The whispers circulating tell a different story. Half the office believes you're in a relationship with him." Autumn finally lifted her gaze. "The other half believes you're trying to manipulate him for control. And what do you think, Marcus? I believe you're treading on dangerous ground. These therapy dinners at upscale restaurants are formal business meetings with appropriate documentation," she interjected, "and they're the sole occasion he'll truly engage in discussions about company strategy." A knock broke the moment. Sage appeared in the doorway, a hint of discomfort on his face. "The Peterson account meeting," he stated. "I need to reschedule." Autumn glanced at her calendar. "There are most important clients, Sage. You were specifically requested by them. I'm not prepared." "You are." She rose, collecting her documents. "Marcus will be present. I will be present. Simply demonstrate that you have returned. And if I feel overwhelmed again, then we'll address it together. That's the essence of teamwork." Marcus observed their interaction, a sense of discomfort creeping in. The way Sage gazed at her, the gentle warmth in her tone, this was precisely what he had dreaded. In the break room, he caught snippets of conversation between 2 managers as they whispered to each other. "She's got him completely under her spell. It's an improvement from when he was just a shell of himself. At least now he actually signs things." Marcus slammed his coffee mug down, bringing an abrupt hush to the room. Yet the harm had been inflicted. Whispers were circulating. That evening, he discovered Autumn still seated at her desk. "Set a boundary," he cautioned, "before things escalate. The only one setting boundaries is you, Marcus." She locked eyes with him. "Because you're scared of losing control. I fear the possibility of losing my friend. Once more. Then assist me in rescuing his company." She presented him with a report. "Because at this moment, that's all that counts." To emphasize her statement, Sage's voice floated from his office. He was rehearsing his client presentation in solitude, enveloped in darkness. Little triumphs. Significant risks loom ahead. The boundary between the professional and personal realms continues to fade with each passing day. Tomorrow's Peterson meeting promises to challenge everyone involved. The Peterson meeting had exceeded expectations. Sage had kept her composure, responded to questions with clarity, and even managed a few authentic smiles. Yet now, at 11 p.m., Marcus found himself gazing at numbers that seemed utterly nonsensical. "These share transfers," he murmured, glancing over the transaction records. "They can't be right." "But they are." The sound of Autumn's voice startled him. She lingered in his doorway, clutching a comparable report. "You've been selling to Crown Technologies, piece by piece, under the radar." Marcus closed his laptop. "How did you?" "Because it's my job to know everything that could impact this company." She stepped inside, closing the door. "The question is why?" "To protect him." Marcus's voice was tired. A safety net was provided by Crown. In the event that Sage couldn't bounce back, they would facilitate a seamless transition, retain the employees, and uphold the core business. All of this without seeking his input. He wasn't exactly in a position to provide advice. A shadow in the doorway prompted both of them to turn. Sage stood there, expression inscrutable. "How long?" he inquired softly. "Sage, I can explain." "How long?" 3 years, Marcus whispered. "Minor shipments, nothing that would raise any flags for board review." Sage's laughter echoed emptily. "My closest companion, orchestrating the sale of my business without my knowledge, while I was, what was the term you used? Unavailable for consultation? You were gone," Marcus exclaimed, rising to his feet. "Someone had to safeguard what you created, what you and Claire created." The mention of her name struck him like a punch to the gut. Sage withdrew slightly. "Meeting room," Autumn commanded. "You two, come along. Now." They lingered in the dimly lit conference room, the city lights sparkling beneath them. Old friends, divided by years of silence. "Begin the conversation," Autumn urged. "Both of you, no more secrets." The night unfolded endlessly, as one revelation followed another. Deceit and safeguarding, affection and trepidation, all intertwined in the debris of the last 5 years. By dawn, they had devised a strategy, yet trust, once shattered, would not mend as effortlessly as stock transactions could be undone. The sun ascended over Seattle, casting a golden hue upon the office. A new day heralded a new dilemma. In the heart of Crown Technologies headquarters, the phones started to ring. "You have 24 hours to clarify these share transfers to the board," Richard Chen's voice echoed through the speakerphone. "Or we're convening an emergency session." Sage concluded the call. The boardroom descended into a thick silence. Marcus occupied the far end, papers laid out in front of him, a testament to his years of covert strategizing. "Start from the beginning," Sage instructed. "Everything. They came to me 3 months after Claire passed, mentioning they'd noticed our numbers slipping." Marcus slid a contract across the table. "Proposed to take on the role of a silent partner. They referred to it as insurance. Insurance against my presence. In the face of losing all that you and Claire created." Marcus locked eyes with his friend. "You weren't the only one mourning, Sage. In a single day, I witnessed the vanishing of my closest companions. Claire to the end." She gazed out the window, contemplating what you had transformed into. This was their time to shine. Moment of clarity or moment of collapse. "Show me the numbers," Sage insisted. "Every single one of them." For hours, they examined 5 years of concealed choices. Stock transfers masked as ordinary transactions. Strategic alliances that were, in truth, gradual takeover plans. A safety net crafted from deception and noble aspirations. Crown holds 28%. Marcus has finally come clean. Just 3 more deals would have granted them the upper hand. Sage's laughter was tinged with bitterness. "What happened next? Push me away? Ensure your safety. Ensure the survival of the organization. Preserve Claire's legacy. Please don't." Sage's voice trembled. "Don't use her as an excuse for this." Autumn moved closer. "The inquiry isn't about his motives. It's about our next steps." "There is no we." Sage turned to her. "I believed there were people I could rely on." Your issue isn't trust, she retorted. Concealment is. Both of you. Concealing oneself in sorrow. Concealed within a shield. In the meantime, Crown is likely on the phone with their legal team at this very moment. The reality of the situation lingered heavily around us. Years of camaraderie fractured by noble intentions and silent anxieties. 24 hours, Sage finally declared, to resolve this or we forfeit it all. He exited, leaving Marcus and Autumn amidst the ruins of 5 years' worth of hidden truths. Outside, the rain in Seattle started to descend. In a corner of his office, a blue umbrella stood patiently, a symbol of all that had been lost and all that remained worth striving for. Take a seat, both of you, Autumn instructed. It was 3 a.m., and they found themselves once again in the conference room. We have 18 hours left. Sage and Marcus sat at opposite ends of the table, the remnants of 5 years of friendship scattered like fragile glass between them. The legal team from Crown has issued their initial warning, she went on, displaying an email on the screen. They assert a breach of confidentiality agreements, but they've erred in their claims. She retrieved another document. They never submitted their beneficial ownership reports. Those share transfers? Legally dubious. Marcus leaned in closer. We maintained silence to prevent market turmoil. Which breached SEC regulations? Autumn replied with a wry smile. They can't reveal you without revealing themselves. So it seems we're all just deceivers, Sage murmured softly. No, she confronted him. Marcus took drastic measures to safeguard a company, while its CEO was oblivious. Was it correct? No. Was it permissible? Hardly. However, this is something that seems to be overlooked by many. It worked. She displayed the stock chart for Quantum Flow. Despite your absence, despite the covert stock transfers, we remain, scarred yet surviving, all due to deception. People cherish this company so much that they fought to preserve it. She gestured towards Marcus. He refused to sell to competitors. He stood firm against those who sought to tear us asunder for profit. He selected Crown due to their assurance of job security for all. A heavy silence enveloped the room. At last, Sage found her voice. Why didn't you just tell me? Marcus's voice trembled. I made an effort. For months following Claire, I explored every possibility. You simply weren't present, Sage. You were absent from the scene. What comes next? As I witness my best friend returning to life, a wave of fear washes over me, knowing he might resent me for the lengths I went to in order to preserve his dream. Autumn observed the shattered souls, striving to reconstruct trust from the remnants of their past. For the first time in 5 years, Sage truly observed his friend, noticing the gray in his hair, the worry lines etched on his face, and the burden of unspoken truths he carried. She definitely would have taken us both down, he said at last. It was not about forgiveness. Not at this moment. Yet it marked the beginning. Only 15 hours remaining, Autumn reminded them. It's time to demonstrate to Crown the consequences of crossing family. As the first light of dawn began to illuminate Seattle, the city slowly awakened from its slumber. A fresh dawn, a renewed struggle, and perhaps, just perhaps, an opportunity for recovery. I'm resigning, Autumn declared, setting her letter down on Sage's desk. He gazed at the paper, then back at her. Why? Because the whispers hold truth. I crossed a line, she said as she took a seat opposite him. My feelings for you are interfering with my capacity to perform my duties. The office lay silent in the stillness of the late hour, with most employees having retreated to the comfort of their homes after the day's tumult. They had successfully thwarted Crown's early legal attempts. Yet the price of that victory was starting to reveal itself. We need you here, Sage said. No, it's essential to be self-reliant. She locked her gaze with his. My job was to rouse you from slumber. Mission accomplished. The company has a CEO once more, and a CFO who would go to great lengths to safeguard it. She smiled with a hint of sorrow. My presence is turning into a burden. The board is already scrutinizing my approach. Marcus stood in the doorway, clutching a stack of papers. The Crown is retreating. They are open to selling back the shares, yet he observed the letter. What is this? The correct decision, Autumn replied. For everyone. Sage lifted the resignation letter, taking her time to read it carefully. 5 months of transformation, of awakening, all culminating in this moment. When? He inquired. The week has come to a close. Long enough to transition my projects. Brief enough to quell the rumors. Marcus sank into his seat. The board won't be pleased about losing you. The board should concentrate on their CEO, rather than his connection with the HR director. She rose to her feet. Sometimes the best way to help someone is to step back. Sage observed her as she approached the door, recalling a different farewell in this office 5 years prior. Autumn. His voice halted her. Thank you. For everything. She nodded, unable to find her voice, and walked away. Marcus turned to his friend. You all right? No. Sage answered the call. But I understand the next steps we need to take. He punched in the board's emergency number. It's time to reclaim control, no matter the price. In her office, Autumn started to gather her belongings. A small blue umbrella on her desk glimmered in the evening light. Certain sacrifices had to be made. Some farewells turned out to be blessings, and at times, healing required stepping away. Buy them out, Sage instructed the board. I want every single share of Crown, no matter the price. Richard Chun leaned in closer. With what funds? Your individual wealth falls short of meeting the requirement. In that case, I will part with all my possessions. My properties, my vehicles, my collection of art. Sage displayed his portfolio on the screen. Everything Claire and I gathered. All of it. The boardroom went quiet. It was clear to everyone that the art collection was his final link to Claire. Items they had selected as a duo, envisioning a future abode. Marcus interjected. I'll sell my shares back to the company as well at cost. That still leaves us short, Richard noted. Then I'll secure investors. Genuine ones this time. Sage's tone sharpened. But Crown won't have another day of authority over this company. Later, in his office, Sage started cataloging assets for sale. Every object held a story. The Lake Washington house where Claire had envisioned their future. The classic car she'd gifted him on their last anniversary. The artwork they had dedicated weekends to selecting. A knock broke his reverie. Jenny from development appeared in his doorway. We've come across the buyback plan, she remarked. The team cast their votes. She presented him with a document. We're proposing our stock options at cost. More colleagues emerged behind her. Sales teams, marketing, and even the maintenance staff all contributing their portions back to the company. Marcus discovered him there an hour later, encircled by pledges. They have faith in you, Marcus said softly. They always did. Sage gazed at the documents. Countless small sacrifices made to preserve their company. Contact the lawyers, he instructed Marcus. We're about to present Crown with an offer they won't be able to turn down. The following morning, Crown's CEO was delivered a straightforward message. The options before you are straightforward. Return what's clean, or we expose everything. The decision is yours. By sunset, the documents were finalized. Quantum flow had been restored, reclaimed by its community, bit by bit. Healing could mean releasing what no longer served, or it could require an even stronger grip on what mattered most. Sage read from the proposal, the Claire Blackwood Foundation for Workplace Mental Health. Leveraging our narrative to assist others. The new boardroom had an unmistakable atmosphere. Transparent barriers allow sunlight to pour in, transforming the space. Clarity both in the tangible sense and in deeper meanings. We begin with technology firms, he went on. Complementary counseling, support for grief, mental health initiatives, all financed by Quantum Flow's earnings. Richard Chun analyzed the figures. This is significant. Thus, the price of my collapse. Sage locked eyes with each board member. We're not merely addressing code now, we're addressing individuals. The initiative began subtly. A platform, a support line, a commitment. In just a few weeks, other tech firms started to connect. Tales of exhaustion, sorrow, and concealed heartache lurking behind the glossy facades of technology. Marcus took charge of the foundation's finances himself. "It's healing him," he remarked to Dr. Reynolds during their regular monthly check-in, imbuing Claire's death with significance. In the developer pit, Jenny's team was crafting the foundation's platform. Available at no cost for any company that requires it, she clarified to the guests. It's a directive from the top. The alteration sent waves through Seattle's technology sector. Other companies started to embrace the mental health policies set forth by Quantum Flow. The barrier of silence surrounding grief in the workplace started to fracture. One morning, Sage discovered Claire's blue umbrella resting on his desk, accompanied by a note. "For the foundation's lobby, certain things deserve to be seen," Marcus said. He carefully positioned it in a glass case at the entrance of the foundation. Beneath it, a modest plaque. "Because everyone deserves a chance to wake up." The company was evolving, thriving, not in spite of its wounds, but because of them. In a quaint consulting firm nestled across town, Autumn Thorne beamed at the announcement of Quantum Flow's newest endeavor. At times, the most meaningful way to acknowledge loss is by guiding others on their journey to rediscovery and renewal. "Quarterly numbers are up 18%, Marcus declared, placing the report on Sage's desk. It marked the third consecutive quarter of growth. Sage nodded, his attention fixed on the screen. The foundation is on the rise. This week, 5 new companies have joined the program, filling the office with a vibrant energy. In the break room, developers engaged in spirited debates over code. Meanwhile, the sales teams reveled in their victories. New hires seamlessly integrated with seasoned veterans. Life unfolds in all its chaotic splendor. "Board meeting in 10, Marcus reminded him. "Are you prepared?" "Nearly there." Sage brought up the presentation. "It's been months since I've experienced any panic attacks." Step into the spotlight. The latest standard. Jenny spotted them in the corridor. "Boss, the API upgrade is performing beyond our expectations." Claire would have cherished it. For the first time, her name evoked warmth instead of sorrow. The boardroom filled swiftly. Richard Chun, now a supporter, settled into his usual spot. Word has it that the CEO of Crown has stepped down amid a scandal involving concealed share transfers. A small smile crept onto Sage's face. The rhythm of fate unfolded in its own time. The gathering progressed seamlessly. Updates on the project were shared. Advancements in the foundation. Upcoming strategies. Transparency moving forward. No more shadows. Later, in solitude within his office, Sage pulled open the bottom drawer. Claire's photo beamed up at him. No longer a charge, but a gentle nudge. "We did well," he whispered to her. "Truly excellent." His phone vibrated. A note from Marcus. "Dinner." Jenny's team successfully solved that encryption challenge. "I'm on my way," he responded. Beyond his window, the relentless rain of Seattle had taken a brief respite. The city sparkled, rejuvenated and pristine. While certain aspects remained irreparable, there were still those that could be restored anew, more resilient than ever. It may not have been flawless, but it thrived, and that sufficed. The anniversary dinner packed Quantum Flow's cafeteria. Employees, board members, and even a handful of competitors turned allies gathered together. It was a moment to celebrate survival, transformation, and growth. The Claire Blackwood Foundation now serves 50 companies, Richard Chun declared, lifting his glass in a toast. And our stock hit an all-time high today. Applause echoed through the room. Jenny's team had arranged a showcase of their latest innovations, each project labeled with its effect on real lives. Marcus spotted Sage by the windows, gazing at the sunset. "I've got something for you." He presented an envelope. Within lay a newspaper clipping. "Crown Technologies ceases operations during ongoing investigation." "Karma's a patient beast," Marcus remarked. "Speaking of patience." Sage gestured toward the entrance. Autumn lingered, a sense of hesitation washing over her, as it was her first return since stepping down. The foundation invited me to consult, she explained, joining them. If that's okay. More than okay, Sage replied, maintaining a balance of professionalism and personal regard. They had discovered their equilibrium. The celebration swirled around them. Joyful laughter, shared tales, aspirations for what lay ahead. On the wall, Claire's umbrella captured the evening light, its plaque now encircled by letters from those the foundation had assisted. You know what Claire would say about all this? What did Marcus inquire? Finally, Sage replied, a smile spreading across their face. Return to your tasks now. Fresh projects lingered on their desks, anticipating attention. The foundation required growth. Tomorrow will unveil new challenges. Yet this evening they rejoiced. Not the conclusion of sorrow, which never truly ceases, but the dawn of something fresh, something genuine. Life, with all its intricate beauty, had resumed its quantum rhythm. And in a distant moment, Claire wore a smile. The rain in Seattle resumed, softly tapping on the windows. Within, the future was gradually revealing itself, one narrative at a time. Some conclusions were truly fresh starts in disguise.